Oh my gosh, finally. Okay. Poppy. Where we're at. Here, buddy. I know. Stop. Let's see. We live. All right. Gonna edit the news post and then we'll get started. Okay. Ooh, that's a really rough thumbnail, but I tried to go live so many times and it didn't work in a row. I gave up. So here, who's here? Type in my chat. I'll move back in a second, guys, so you can see my face. What you doing, Pops? rat. Settle down. Lie down. Poppy, lie down. Where do you do? You're rat. All right. Uh-oh. Hey, Pon. Poppy, can you quit pacing? Come here. Or here. That works too. So I have Sammy right here. This is Rat. And this is Poppy. Rat's been with us the longest. He was my first purebred dog. And then Sammy was dumped at our house. And then we went down to Florida and we picked up Poppy from a breeder. Yeah. She's only 2 years old, so she's kind of nuts. You want it? All right. Hey, Splar. So is there anything in particular you guys want to ask about first? Like color testing, health testing, rules, all of that cool stuff? Or more things about the dogs. I don't mind that either. Because I have a couple of things that were submitted to me, and there's one thing that I do need to talk about. Yeah. Poppy thinks she's the most precious. But I love them all. So I'm just going to get right into it. One of the major questions that I have been getting recently, I got 2 questions in my Sarah, whatever you call it. It was about color testing. The users essentially wanted to know if there was a way for moderators or admins to roll a litter's genotypes to determine what color possibilities there would be for the litter. So you wouldn't have to come up with ideas for markings and stuff for a litter. You would just have it rolled for you. And I'm happy to say that pretty much all of the staff now have been taught to do color paneling that are allowed to do health testing. So if you need health testing, we can do color paneling. And on top of that, we can do color paneling for litters. And that's on the form now. It's been updated. And color paneling is open right now. The only thing is that color paneling is an extremely, how do I put this? It's an extremely complicated process. It takes a lot of time. So if you're going to color panel a letter, we would like you to use it. Otherwise, we pretty much, depending on the size of the letter, we could be wasting about an hour to a couple of hours on each letter rolling it for you, only for you to not use it. So please just be considerate when you put in a color panel, and please use it, because we do offer it now. It's just that it's a time heavy process, because we have to teach people to understand the genetics, and then we have to teach them how to work out the possibilities and roll them. It's a lot of work, and it's not easy to do. Right now we have myself, Can, Liz Rohan. I think that's it that's doing color panels right now. Genotype. We'll give you genotypes, but if you come into the Discord and you're not sure what the phenotypes are, we'll give you that. Yeah, it's your choice if you want a color panel, just like health testing. You don't have to do it. If you just want to make a letter and guess what's going to come out, then that's more than fine with us. You don't have to have an understanding of genetics to be in Kennel Club and make litters. I mean, it's a plus, but it's not required. You play your game how you want to. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of people didn't know that was a service we had, and we've been trying to keep it on the low until we had trained a bunch of staff, and we have now. I know. I don't know if you can see these two behind me. These two are playing on the bed behind me. Can you move? Can you settle down over here, maybe? Ow. Dick. These two are being wild. Puppy. What are you doing? Oh no. Yeah, I'm pretty strict, I think, compared to most kennels, because I require that buyers keep the genotype, because essentially with my Australian Shepherds, I don't want off colors coming out of my lines. I don't want double merles. I don't want yellows, sables, piebald, all that weird stuff, because it's off standard. And I have personally witnessed disabled Australian Shepherds. I've had experience with them being deaf and blind. So it's kind of a touchy subject for me with my Australian Shepherds. But in the German Shepherds, I don't mind the off colors because they're not so much associated with basically birth defects or disabilities. Except for in blue German Shepherds, there is a propensity for a gene called color dilution apollousia. I'm not sure I enunciated that right, but I tried my best. And what happens is that in a blue dog, the hair will be brittle, it'll fall out, it'll be sparse. Your dog will look like it has flea allergies, but 24/7. So I kind of don't like breeding blue German Shepherds. There are some online courses you can take. I don't have any off the top of my head, but I could find some for you if you'd like them. There's also this website I use. I just type into Google Punnett square calculator, and if I take the Punnett square calculator and I put everything in, it makes things so much quicker for me when I do color. When I do my letters, that's what I do. I just put it into a Punnett square calculator and it does it for me. Yeah. And there's some really good guides on DeviantArt, but there's essentially on DeviantArt there are a bunch of guides that have hypothetical genes, which basically means there are certain genes that actually haven't been discovered and we don't know if they're real or not. And if they are real, we're not exactly 100% sure how they work. So people make up guides for genes that aren't fully researched, and then a couple years later, they're basically debunked. And then people will go back to the guide and use it even though it has materials that may not be accurate, which that's why I update my genotype guide, because I've had a couple things that have come up that have said, ooh, I'm wrong about that. Like I thought graying, which is a gene that causes Yorkshire Terriers, they're black to turn to gray. I thought it was a recessive gene like liver, but it's actually dominant. So I had to go back and fix that. And Merle is one that it's been in research for about 2 years now in depth, and they still don't know everything. They have, in this last year, found that there are dogs that have 3 copies of the Merle gene, which, if you know genetics, people and dogs and pretty much any organism that is a mammal gets 1 copy from each parent, and they have 2 copies total. And so this random 3rd gene comes in and nobody can figure out where it's from. And you would say an absorbed twin, but it's not. Genetics are weird, and we're always learning. So even though we try our best, some things we do might be debunked. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is Bayer. Which Bayer, yeah, the graying gene is really common in furnished breeds. There's a couple breeds known for it. Like I think it's the Kerry Terrier. I'm not sure that's the full name, but they're blue all over, and it's the graying gene. And then the Yorkshire Terriers have it, and a couple others. I think poodles have it too. And sometimes they'll have graying and liver at the same time, and that has its own color, name, and the breed, and it's really confusing for me. Because every breed has different terms for the 3 gene. So for every gene in a breed, it's called something else, and there's hundreds of breeds out there. So there's 100 different names for the same thing. It's kind of mind-boggling to try and keep up with. But yeah, one of the things I want to talk about is Bayer. Hi, buddy. Which is where they go in your dog's ears, and what they do is test your dog's hearing. So they test if your dog can hear in both ears, and if they can't hear in one ear, that would be, I think it's bilateral deafness. And essentially, the reason that we don't have Bayer in Kennel Club and why we hesitate to bring it in, go bud, go, is because Bayer is it's very much dependent on pigment. So if you have a dog that is mostly white because of the piebald gene, but basically there's a complete lack of pigment. There's no yellow or anything around the inside of the ear, it changes how well the dog can hear. And dogs that are mostly white have a higher incidence of being unable to hear. So essentially, in breeds like, I think one of the most common ones is white boxers have a 5% higher chance of being deaf if they're all white. And other breeds that have this problem are boxers. Border collies actually have this problem. If there's a lot of white, then they might be deaf. They might be deaf in one ear or both ears. And the bad thing about being deaf is a lot of people, unilateral. I butcher English, but it's a thing where with our current health test system, I'm going to give you an example. With our current health test system, we have a value of numbers that we roll depending on the dog's pedigree and lineage. So essentially, let's say that you have an import dog, and there is a scale of how many results an import dog can get. An import dog can get excellent, good, and fair. It cannot get poor or worse. So essentially, in our randomly roll generated system, color is not played into that for hips, patellas, elbows, or anything like that. But the thing is that Bayer is different, and it wouldn't be realistic for us to put in place a randomly rolled system for something that's affected by color. And we're not sure how to realistically bring it into Kennel Club without breaking everything. What are you doing? And I mean, if you guys really want it, we can bring hearing testing. But then the question would be, is how realistic do you want it to be? Essentially, one of the things that we could do is we could just say, heck with color, and make it work as is hips and elbows do. So you would have the results of excellent, good, fair, and poor that could be possible depending on your dog's lineage. And the bad thing about this is that we're just not sure how we want to go forward. People ask questions about bringing in something new, but the real question is how realistic do you want it to be? And then how are we going to make it so that we have enough work power? Yeah, my puppers are cute. Poppy, come here. Yeah. This is my little booger. Yeah. Up here. Up here. Another thing that we were thinking about adding to Kennel Club health testing was cardiac. And essentially, in breeds that are known for heart issues like Dobermans, you will take your dog in to a specialist and they will do a cardiac on your dog's heart in order to determine if there's any deformities or abnormalities. The problem with this is that in breeds like Dobermans, what happens is technically you're supposed to do a cardiac every year that the dog is a breeding dog. Because cardiac, at least in Dobermans, doesn't show up until they're older. And there's six different categories of results for cardiac. So the next question is how realistic do you want it to be? Because in Kennel Club, you age up your dogs as you want. So we can't have a set time every year for everyone to cardiac their breeding dogs. Because some people, they get a dog that's a year old in January, and by the time it's April, the dog is retired and it's been bred. Which, that's fine. I do that. So I would do that. It just takes me too long to do art. So I go at a slower pace. There is no test for cancer that I'm aware of. There might be a couple of hypothetical ones that they're doing studies on, but as far as I'm aware, there's no certified test for cancer. Now, I know one of the biggest problems in Goldens and flat coat retrievers is that they're having an obesity problem related to doing with having to be overfed because they actually have a gene in their DNA that causes them to always be hungry when they're actually full. Yeah, I wish there was a test for epilepsy too, because we have that in our breed, and it's not a fun thing. One thing that we don't test in our breed that I think we should test for is exercise-induced collapse. Yeah, Liz, you're always hungry. I think I might have it too, because I really want some ramen. I think Rap has it, because honestly, if y'all watched the test stream yesterday, he was like, food, please, 24/7. See? I gave you the curse. Now you want ramen. Oh, I had spaghetti last night, so I'm not craving so hard. My buddy. So you guys have any questions? Or do you want to talk about suggestions? Because one of the things that we're doing with Kennel Club this year going around is that every month is going to be dedicated to a different FCI group. So October is going to be dedicated to Sighthounds. I'm getting that set up. We have a couple judges lined up on the staff team, of course. And ideally, I would like to have at least 10 entries. The big question is that originally I didn't want to put group 10 on the poll because I wanted the groups to go right after each other each month. And after it got to 10, it would go back to 1, which is herding. Yo, but I wanted to give the herding group a break after a World Dog Show. But at this rate, in November, we're going to have a Group 1 specialty. So I don't know what to do. Well, maybe they'll just have to suck it up. I mean, I think most of the people on our staff team are really into Group 1, so it might be hard to find judges that don't want to participate. And what we might have to do is split up the show into like 4 sections, and 2 judges do adult, and then 2 judges do Group 1 without German Shepherds. Are you on drugs? Hey, maybe the Border Collies would have a better chance though, without having to compete against Liz and all the other crazies like Dark Forest, myself. Yeah, and then Runestorm, they wouldn't have to compete against Runestorm. Liz, that's a compliment. Your art's amazing, and I just feel like sometimes I see it and I'm like, oh no, how do I beat that? And I'm like, wait, I can put a story in and make Liz mad. And actually, I'll put this in the stream too. Rohan is trying to host a German Shepherd specialty, which would have titles specific to the German Shepherd breed, like Supreme Champion. Yeah. And I was thinking maybe Rohan could host the German Shepherds. Yeah, the Grand Victress. Yeah, Rohan and I have been working on this for a while. And we wanted to wait a while after World Dog Show to actually run it. And we had a couple judges aligned. I was gonna judge the puppy group so that I could enter adult. And then if we entered each other's dogs, maybe we could judge each other's entries. But then the concern there is fairness. I don't want people to think that the judges or the staff will pick the entries of other staff members over non-staff, if that makes sense. I don't want there to be any doubt of, yeah. That's what I was thinking I would talk to Rohan about doing. And maybe I could drag Northern Buffalo, it's so weird, into maybe doing some ads for the specialty. Or maybe I could drag Rune into that. And then the German Shepherds would have their own group, and then all the other stuff could be more prestigious for the other breeds because German Shepherds are so wildly popular. Yeah. I mean, we were going to do a thing with a magazine bi-monthly for a while, but when I took that poll, no one was interested. So we might just have to advertise shows. Because I was going to think about, like, paying her. Liz, you're wild. Settle down, Rat. Who's that? I know. So wait, what is your Colors of Colorado? Is that a confirmation show or is that a Confo and sport? He's a goof. Oh, it's a combo? Do you think you're not going to get enough entries? I need to enter. I have a couple dogs that need KCTs. Oh, that's good. Okay. Do you have very many in herding or agility? I could throw it in announcements because I love you. My poppies. Give me a kiss. Up here. Give me a kiss. No. Come here. Yeah. My rats. I'm not sure when it ends, but I really feel like drawing my Australian Shepherds, so I should enter. Scoot Rat. Oh, cooties. He's all about cooties. You wanted to draw donkeys? Liz, are you going to draw what your true form is? Oh no, you got a stone missing from your collar. I'm so mad. Look at that. I know that effort shows aren't for everyone. I'm just putting that out there. But I love when people who haven't done it in a long time or haven't at all start entering. Because when they win and they do well, that makes me happy. Scoot. Good boy. Scoot. Good boy. I mean, I think if my German Shepherds herded donkeys, they would act more like the donkeys than the donkeys would, because they would act like total asses. Because in my ranch, we don't have any donkeys. We have cows and sheep, and that's it. So, well, technically we have ducks too, but I think mine would go a little wild. In my head, anyways, most of the Australian Shepherds and herding are trained better than the German Shepherds. Buddy. I had that problem for a long time. I would want to enter a show, and one of my problems is that I would start drawing something, and it would start looking like poo-poo, basically, and I would delete it and start over again 5 times in a row, and then I would get mad, and when I get mad, I don't draw well, not even event art, so then it would be like a downward spiral, and then if someone saw a drawing that I was not happy with, and then they would comment on it and say, hey, there's this wrong with your drawing, I would be like, you don't gotta rub my nose in it. I already know. Please. My heart. But I think that participating in effort shows gave me a lot of reason to improve. If you look at my gallery compared to, I think about a year ago, I would say there was a lot of improvement, especially in backgrounds. And I think that how I draw German Shepherds has improved vastly. Because with the over-angulated rear on the show ends, on the show German Shepherds, it would be like, this looks broken, no matter how I draw it. But if I look at my line art that I got from RuneStorm, and I would look at it, and it was so pretty and beautiful, I'd be like, how does it look pretty and beautiful when he draws it? But when I try to draw it, it looks like my dog has broken chopstick legs. Yeah, I understand that. You know what my secret is, Blue? My secret is that I write a 1,000-word story. So even if the art looks terrible, I word vomited 1,000 words, and then I get 10 extra points to my score. But that has to mean that you feel like you can write without being embarrassed. And I know some people have the same problem with writing. And I mean, if you don't want to do confirmation, that's fine. We have working champions now. If you want your dog to work all day and their championship reflect that, then you can just do that. You don't have to do confirmation. I've had the problem where I have over 50 active German Shepherds, and after drawing about 10 confirmation images, it was like drawing the same thing 10 times, and I didn't like that. So then I commissioned Myth, and Myth does it for me. I mean, try to think of things that you haven't drawn. It's like I added several breeds to my kiln recently. I added White Swiss Shepherds, Beauceron, Bouvier, De Flanders. And I'm going to try to be active with those, so I don't have to draw the same 2 breeds all the time, every time, because then it just gets stale. And then you end up competing against yourself and no one else. And then if you breed them, you're the only one breeding most of the litters, and then you're like, oh no, everything's gonna be related in a couple years. So sometimes you have to take a step back from your main breeds and focus on rat. And you have to focus on other things. Scoot. Scoot. I know. That's like I really like wire-haired breeds. I think they're so cool. Which is why I added the Bouvier to my kennel. I don't have a line art for them yet because I like to commission people for really pretty line arts. And I don't think I have found a kennel that draws wire-hairs as good as I've liked. Or either the people that I like their line art, I haven't seen them draw a wired-haired yet. I don't know if Liz has drawn anything wild-haired. I love my white Swissies. Both of mine right now are from Squirrel. And they're siblings. That's a great foundation for my kennel. My first 2 dogs are related. This is how I started out with my German Shepherds, and I don't want to do it again. Because I have like 5 dogs that are almost siblings in my kennel. I have Hazard, my baby boy, Biohazard, and then I have his daughter, Whirl, and then I have Crest. Oh no, and a couple of others. I can't think of it off the top of my head. You know, let me check. Because I haven't done German Shepherds in a little bit. I've been taking a break. Okay. So the dogs that I have that are all Vom Frans. I think Crow is distantly related to all my Vom Frans dogs. Crest. Whirl. Man, I didn't have as many as I thought I did. Maybe I have more and I just didn't know. Maybe I just forgot about them. Yeah. And everything's distantly related. So if you only have 6 generations of the pedigree plotted out, and then you breed them together, someone will get mad and say, hey, 8 generations back, there's this one dog, and it's in both pedigrees, so you inbred it and get banned from my kennel. Which I don't understand the whole anti-inbreeding thing in Kennel Club anyways, because in Kennel Club you can just import unrelated stuff and breed in all you want. But sometimes, I mean, inbreeding is just realistic. It's not always evil. I mean, Liz, the breed that we have that I never got off the ground, it has plush wire hair and short. And the wire hair is probably my favorite. I like the plush too. Very cute. I'll show you guys Sammy. I have about like 20 imports. Lay down. Go away. Oh, he's sulking. And one of the things that I want to do is try to do more seasonal stuff. So, like, push people to host stuff that is snowy, December themed, Christmas themed. I did enter the Irish Kennel Club Christmas Bonanza last year, but it never got judged, so I had to reuse my entry because it was one of the best entries I'd ever done. And I reused it in one of Fear's shows, and I think it got Best in Show or something. And honest to goodness, I hate to say this. I know it's unrealistic for people to be around for Kennel Club all the time to judge their shows and stuff. But I think that if you have a long history of setting up a show and then disappearing for 6 months and not judging it, then you should get put on a like your license should be put on hold to hold like certification shows. So like the CACB and the CACT. Like if you host a bunch of those and then just walk away and never judge them, and people enter them and they're like, "Oh, pestering us about why hasn't this show been judged?" Then I think that sometimes there should be like a 3-strike system. And I completely understand if you have health issues and you host a show and then you can't judge it. There is a lot of judges in the community that that would be happy to judge it for you. I think there's a guide out there for hosting RNG. Liz, do you think you could find something? And I hate to say that I think there should be a strike system for effort shows because there's so little shows in the first place. And we don't want to punish people for participating, but at the same time, when shows are hosted and are never judged, that isn't fair for the participants, like you said. So for an RNG show, it's kind of like the same as an effort show, but instead of using point values, you just kind of use a random generator from a list of dogs. So what I've seen Squirrel do is Squirrel will get a bunch of entries, and let's say that you have group 1 and you have 10 dogs. And there's 5 German Shepherds because that's completely realistic in this community. Because and basically what happens, let's say that you've had several dogs that have entered open, which is adult dogs that haven't achieved their championship. And let's say that you have, let's say Liz entered 2 dogs. Liz entered a male German Shepherd and a female German Shepherd. And then Ferb entered 2 dogs, a male German Shepherd and a female German Shepherd. And what you would do is you would start in RNG, depending on gender, which dog gets it. Liz, fight me. Let's say that you entered only 3 adults and 2 puppies. Fine. If you have a show that didn't get judged, honest to goodness, if I haven't entered, I might offer to judge it. My problem is I don't want to judge someone else's show and then them come back and be like, "Why did you judge my show? That's not cool." I don't want to assume responsibility and make someone angry. That's my only concern. And then one of my other concerns is people who enter shows and they trace. We've had a bunch of problems with tracing recently. We've had to suspend one member for tracing. I think it was for 3 months. Of course, we didn't disclose who publicly, but they were suspended because they traced, I think, 3 show entries for CACB shows, and they were caught. And then when they were caught, we overlaid the image with a drawing and we showed it to them, and they were like, that didn't happen. So not only had they traced, they denied they traced, and then they wanted to talk about it, and we were like, this is not, we're not going to take back our punishment, because when we suspend or ban members, we vote on it as a team. So how it works with our administration right now, which I kind of took it upon myself to revamp this so there was more communication between staff on who to keep an eye on, who needs punishment, and what punishment is correct. So right now we have a system where essentially you get 3 strikes, and then there's a punishment. But if you have, let's say that you trace for a commission, so how do I put it? You are asked to do a commission, and then you trace it, and then you get payment, and then that commission gets kicked out of the kennel club. Well, the problem is that if you trace a commission and you enter it in the club, not only is that considered tracing, which is 1 strike, if you don't give the money back, it's actually considered scamming. So then you would get 2 strikes in 1 day. Does that make sense? What show was that? Because I know there was one that I judged. Not one that I judged. There was one that I entered that was supposed to get my dog's grand champion, hopefully. And I think that one was, I think it closed in January. Yeah, I'm not sure who to talk to about that. Yeah, if you are the artist and you trace and you were commissioned, you're the one who gets in trouble. Yeah, Liz, you do that because there's a couple things between me and Chris where I feel like Chris and I are not on walking on eggshells between each other, and I don't want to irritate her any more than possible because I respect Chris and I want to give her space. Yeah, I think she got pestered about the show a lot, and I think that's what kind of contributed to her leaving. Yeah. Maybe you could just say, hey, I'll judge the whole thing instead of being a guest judge. I think Chris would love that. That would be bomb for both of you. Like, I don't like entering when I enter a show, I usually like to enter last minute so that I have the best idea of when I'm going to get my rewards and if I need to do another entry. So let's say I enter a show and I need a CACT for one of my dogs for him to get champion. Let's say he enters and it doesn't qualify and it's been a full year. That means I sat on an entry for a full year, and I would not be happy about that. And then I'd have to do another entry for the same dog and wait a whole year. Yeah. The person who ordered the commission will be notified. And if the person who ordered the commission once, there will be photo proof, because when we see tracing or art theft, we'll save the images before we serve the strike so that no one thinks that we're making stuff up. And sometimes it's hard to tell what's referenced and what's traced. Referencing is fine as long as you trace like the skeleton and the joints. So you put a circle over where the elbow and the pasterns will be, and lines for the line between the knee and the pastern. Like, that's fine. But we don't want you blatantly tracing the outline of images on Google. Now, it's completely fine to take images from Google and skeleton trace and then like trace the skeleton, not the outline, and then do that. Yeah, if you are worried that a commission is traced, you can note Kennel Club and we will look into it. We have a resident art theft bloodhound, and whenever I have a concern about something, I send it to them and they find the images. They find the images if there are any. And one of the things is that we say stock images are okay to use, but if it's a stock image that needs to be paid for and you don't pay for it, that's still art theft. Because if a photographer is asking for you to pay for an image to reference, trace, or otherwise use it, and then you trace it without paying for it, that's considered theft because you're stealing their services without paying for them. And another thing you can do if you want to get easy images is you can go to dog competitions and take pictures and then just trace your own pictures. That's completely fine because you did both parts of the art. You were the photographer and you were the artist. And you can outline trace your own photographs basically. You don't have to worry about only skeleton tracing. So in short, please don't trace. You will be caught, you will be punished, it will be put on your record. And you're allowed to trace as long as you use images that are free, so I don't understand why you would trace. You could look at stock images on DeviantArt and find things that are free to trace, and it will help you get an understanding of anatomy. Because I think sometimes tracing is about understanding the anatomy and the proportions. R.I.P. Play Sammy. And a while back, we had a problem where we had a member in the Discord that was inflammatory towards other members. And it's okay to disagree with people's ideas and not like their ideas. It's not acceptable to, well, for one, I guess call them political parties would be one way to put it, to use derogatory phrases, which I wouldn't want to say them out loud, but things like, you're gay, you're ridiculous, this and that. It's okay to say that you think an idea is bad, but if you say an idea is bad, you need to give a reason for it. So, for example, let's say that we want to allow wolf dogs into Kennel Club. Okay, so here's the problem with if you want to, someone says, okay, let's allow wolf dogs into Kennel Club because the Mexico Kennel Club recognized a breed that has wolf dog mixed in it now, so it would be realistic, right? Yeah. So the incorrect way to critique that is that you're stupid. That's never gonna be in Kennel Club, and if that's in Kennel Club, I'll leave. Like it's fine to leave if there's things that you don't like, but please don't use it against people like that. I think that's honestly a little inflammatory, and it's threatening. You don't want to guilt trip people into thinking their ideas are bad. You need to use logic. So the appropriate way to say why we don't want wolf dogs in Kennel Club would be is that the American Kennel Club and the FCI do not officially recognize most wolf dog breeds or wolf dog crosses as purebred dogs, because there are breeds that have wolf dog in them, like oh god, I'm gonna butcher the name, the Czechoslovakian wolf dog. that had wolf dog bred into it early in its program. And it's kind of mostly been bred out. They're considered low content wolf dogs, but they're in the FCI and I think they might be in the UKC now. And those are allowed. Apparently Mexico recognized a new breed that's like a pure black German Shepherd wolf dog cross. But it doesn't look very wolf dog to me. It just looks like a black German Shepherd. And since everything's in Spanish and I don't read Spanish, I haven't been able to find any more information. Yeah. It's okay to say, I don't like your idea. It's not okay to say, I don't like you. Does that make sense? If you don't like someone, please keep it off the Discord. Just to be honest. Because I don't want to sit there and play mini mod over everyone's relationships and getting nasty, if that makes sense. Starloose is one of those. It's a wolf dog cross early in the breed's history, but it wasn't. From my understanding, they're considered a low content wolf dog, and they're mostly dog now because they bred wolf dog in a couple generations and then they just bred to all dogs after that, if that makes sense. Or they bred wolf dog to dog several times, and then they bred the offspring of each litter to each other, and that created the breed. So there is a lot of wolfiness in there, but not enough for it to be considered a medium or high content wolf dog, and not like a first to second generation cross anymore, if that makes sense. Hi, Sammy. What she's chewing? Hey, good girl. Get your horn. I didn't know that. I have a lot of family that speak Spanish, but I don't. I took German in high school. Hey, buddy. She wants my attention. So does anyone have questions? I thought about maybe there should be like an event calendar for Christmas. I don't know how we would do that though, because who would pay for it? And what would the prizes be? Because we can't exactly give dogs as prizes. Absolutely. Mixes are allowed to compete for CACTs, and they are allowed for the working championship title. Now, on the certificate, I'm not sure what we would put. We would probably put it down as a crossbreed. We wouldn't say mutt, we would say like a mixed breed. But, for example, let's say that you had an Australian Shepherd and Poodle mix. We would not put Australian Shepherd, Poodle mix, or Aussie Doodle on the certificate. Because in real life, that would cause riots. And honestly, if I had to do certificates with Aussie Doodle on it, I might quit. Yeah, here's Rat. Oh my gosh, boy. If they're a breed in development, like they have a standard, then that's fine. It's just I don't want to put designer breeds. For example, well, honestly, I'm not sure. I might have to talk to Ken about that because we've only had purebreds apply so far. I don't know if they do. He's so floof. He smells good right now. I gave him a waterless shampoo wash yesterday. Here. Poppy, move. Rat. Come here. Oh, Floof. Sammy, go. You little jealous bugger. His butt is floofy too. He wants me to scratch his neck. What? What do you want? Oh! Quit attacking me. Yeah, that's Poppy. So, Sammy. This is Sammy. She's bull breed cross something. I do weight pull with her. Yeah, shoot. I do weight pull with Sammy. We go to weight pull competitions. Mixes are absolutely allowed to be health tested. And how we would do that, I know. And how we would do that is you would give us a list of the breeds in the mix, and we would test for all the issues in all of those breeds. So if you have a breed that is, let's say it's a border whip, we would test for the health issues that both appear in border collies and whippets at the same time. One thing you have to consider if you use if you use a health test system for puppy health tests, let's say that you breed, let's just keep using the border whip example. Let's say that you're breeding a border collie to a whippet and you want to get a litter health test so you have results for the puppies for the additional 10 experience it gives you. Well, the problem there is that you need to plan ahead when you do this because the puppy health test system, basically the parents' results determine the puppy's results. So in whippets, there are health issues that aren't tested in border collies. So if you're going to breed whippets and border collies, you need to test the parents for both of the panels. So if you have a border collie parent, you need to test for whippet issues and border collie issues. Mixes can do anything but conformation. Yeah. And honestly, there might be a fun show sometime that will allow mixes. Because why the heck not? The heck not? It's a fun show. Yeah. So there was a while ago that someone wanted to breed like a Presa Canario to, I'm not sure what breed it was. I think it was like American Pit Bull Terrier, and they had both of the parents. They had both of the parents health tested, but both of the parents didn't have the same results. So we needed them to health test both parents for both breeds issues, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, let me know, Poppy. They're chewing their horns. Yeah, I like border whippets. And the cool thing about them is you could do the working champion and you could have a border whippet party. I honestly cannot think of anything beyond conformation that mixes can't do. Yeah, take over working champion. Now the question would be what sports you would do with the border whips. I know that they're really, really popular in fly ball. Yeah, I love border whips. They're so pretty. I also love wind sprites. Sprites. I think they're sprites. Look at her. This is Miss Poppy. I think they're really pretty. There is one that goes around at the UKC shows in the southern United States, and she's the first one to have a weight pull title. She's so floofy on her ears. Right, go, go, go. He's mad. You little floofer. Little floofer. She's like, please give back. Oh, that smells a little. She's tiny compared to my other dogs. You can't really tell from this camera, but Poppy's 19 inches tall and Rap is 23 inches tall. So he's big. Poppy, I love you. People love you. Rap, I know you love me. You don't have to tell me with your tongue. See how he wants to crawl my lap? He's like, pet me. I have border collies, but I'm not sure if I want to do border whippets. I like border collies, but I'm not sure I'm going to do a big border collie program. I have one that I bought from Chris, which she's a Finnish champion. Liz, one of the things that one of the breeders on my friends list on Facebook breeds, she breeds Malin collies, which is Malinois to border collie. Yeah, he's so expressive. He's got better eyebrows than I have. Yeah. Her name was originally Missy, but I had to change it to Mist because my second ever Australian Shepherd in Kennel Club was named Missy, and I didn't want to have confusion. And Mist is a Blue Merle champion. We all know, Liz, that all you would want is a German Shepherd. Let's be real. He's a cuddler and a kisser. And a suck up. If I'm sitting on the couch, he'll just put his head on my lap and stare at me sadly until I oblige. Okay, but see, he's just walking over me. What do you want? What do you want? Oh, oh. You don't have to be big to handle a Malinois. You just have to have enough of you that you don't mind having little chunks taken out. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I like his little white stripe. Honest to goodness, I've handled a couple of Malinois that were really nice in temperament. I thought they were really nice working dogs. It's just a problem that in the last couple of years, they have been breeding Malinois to be used for deployment overseas and in a police department. And sometimes some really questionable dogs get into those venues temperamentally. There was a video a while back of a Belgian Malinois attacking its police dog handler on video. And sometimes you don't know, you wonder who bred or trained these dogs because they're kind of wild. Yeah, I did a couple of transportations for a rescue. Well, a couple rescues, not just one rescue. There was I transported a Belgian Malinois named Jasmine for the Malinois Ranch Rescue of Tennessee. And she was really sweet. I honestly kind of wanted to bring her home. I wanted to bring the dog home because I had been told that they're so crazy that they couldn't like stay in a cart uncrated without eating your seat. And she was just so chill. And it wasn't like she was sick or anything. She was in perfect health, and she was actually like one of those dogs. Like they don't have dry out of the ears 24/7. You can turn it on and off, and I like that a lot. Rap is like that. Get it. Good boy. I know, buddy. You're such a puss. You're such a puss. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have them out in an apartment. Honestly, I'm not sure I would have my Australian Shepherds in an apartment because Rap thinks he's a guard dog, and if there's someone outside the fence or the front door, he explodes. Like he'll run up to the fence, barking like a wild man, and then he'll express his anal glands. He's so worked up. Yeah, it just depends on your dog. Like, honest to goodness, Sammy wouldn't be a problem in an apartment because she's really quiet. Rap just likes to bark because he thinks he's protecting everyone, but he's actually a wuss. Aren't you, buddy? Yeah, you're the wuss. Yeah, and I think finding an apartment that would allow a Belgian Malinois would be hard pressed now. Because most people think they're German Shepherds, and most apartments ban German Shepherds. I think Australian Shepherds have gotten on a couple of the apartment non-friendly list because in Australian Shepherds there's a huge problem with faulty temperaments. There's dogs that will bark at every single little thing. They'll run up and charge at people like aggressively. And then there's dogs that will actually bite people for being in their apartment. I know that if we had a townhouse, I would probably, honest to goodness, I would probably lock all my dogs up. Whenever, like, the person who rented it out to me came over. My buddy. Do you guys have any suggestions? What's some cool things we can try? Cute. OCD. Oh, how do I even get into that? Scoot, scoot, scoot. All right. I haven't really done a thing on this, but I can try. Yeah. So technically one of the things is that you can request any real life health test. So if there's a place that does shoulder dysplasia hip testing, I'm not sure if OFA offers that. I can check real quick for you. I think they might because they offer patellas, don't they? I'm gonna check. I've never had to worry about like shoulders and that stuff. Okay, so hip, elbow, eye, cardiac, patella, thyroid, other phenotypic. Okay. Deafness, bile acid, spine, trachea, and shoulder. So yeah, OFA does offer shoulder. And the thing is that when you go back. So the way our health testing works is there are some tests that aren't standardized for a breed, but people in Kennel Club may choose to do them. As long as they're a real test, we can do them. So for example, we don't have thyroid as a standardized test for Dobermans and Kennel Club because the standardized for every breed is hip, elbow, and eye. So if you wanted, you could say, I want to do the breed blood panel and I also want thyroid. And we would do it. So for your example, you could be like, I want to do the Border Collie breed panel, but I also want shoulder dysplasia to be done. And we would do it. So you just have to request it specifically. Yeah. So like one of the things, I'm trying to think of something in Australian Shepherds that we test. One of the things that we test in Australian Shepherds that isn't, well, no, we don't. We don't test it. We test it, but Kennel Club has it in the panel. One of the things we want to address is the problem where some breeds don't have blood panels, and with puppy health tests, you need to do blood tests in order have blood tests to perform in order to health test the litter. So let's say you have a breed where there's other known deformities other than hip and elbows. Then you can't do a puppy test because you can't do the body tests until the dog is an adult. So things like degenerative myopathy, Collie eye anomaly, that kind of stuff, that's a gene that's like recessive dominant or this and that. You can test those in puppies, but you can't test hip, eyes, and elbows. Well, you can't test hips and elbows in a puppy because they're not fully formed yet. Now, the thing about puppies is that we want to think about doing cardiac and eye and puppy health tests. So every single breed can have a puppy health test. Every single. So one of the problem with created breeds, if you say this breed is 100% healthy, we automatically test hip, eyes, elbows for your breed, even if you say it's healthy. But the thing is that people who own that breed, they can't apply for puppy testing because there's no blood genetic issues to test that are clear, carried, or affected. And what we want to do is make it so that, like in Australian Shepherd, since we have Merle in our breed, one of the problems is there can be deformities of the eye that cause basically the pupil and the iris to be a different shape. So what will happen is there will be spots in the iris where it's been like there's a hole in it or it's eaten away on the edge. So instead of having a full ring around the black in their eye, their black looks like it's eating the ring a little. And that can cause a little bit of sensitivity towards light. It can cause vision issues, some other things, depending on how severe it is. So when Australian Shepherd puppies are sold, a lot of breeders will do, a lot of reputable breeders will do eye testing on their puppies before they go home to make sure that they have proof that the puppies went home with perfectly fine eyes, especially if they're selling them to breeding homes. doing. And then another thing is that Dobermans, sometimes they'll Sometimes they'll do cardiac before the puppies even go home. Because cardiac is not very invasive. They basically listen to the heart. They're begging for their food right now. So you have any more questions about health testing? Yeah, me and Ken have talked about it. We're gonna find a way to make it work. It's just figuring out what we want to implement. And I think what we might do is every litter can be eye tested, so that every litter can be eye tested, and you never miss out on the extra 10 XP. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Because I know Fear was having some problems with it. She had some created breeds where they couldn't have puppy panels because the breeds didn't have blood panels, which is honestly really frustrating because I puppy health test my German Shepherds and my Australian Shepherds, and one of the things is that that's health testing. Unless you get clear and excellent, you get 10 XP when you do a puppy, and then another 10 when you're an adult. So you get 20. And then if the dog gets all clear and excellent, it gets another 10. So the highest score possible is 30 XP total for health testing. If you do a puppy, you do an adult, and the adult is clear and excellent in all values. And that's a pretty good chunk, honestly. I'm gonna check DeviantArt, make sure no one commented or anything. Do you want to see me teach the dog something new? I put together something for them the other day, and some of them are struggling with the concept of it, and other ones are doing great. Okay, so the thing is in the American Kennel Club, many American Shepherds are referred to as mini American Shepherds. So if you put it in as mini Australian Shepherd and then someone searches that, they're gonna be confused. So I would use what they're called in the breed club, just for the least confusion. And honestly, I think that Australian Shepherds should have been named American Shepherds because I love America. I live in America. I think it's cool. And plus, it causes the confusion with people thinking they're Australian cattle dog and thinking that they were created in Australia when they were not. And if you breed to a mini Aussie to a mini American Shepherd, it's gonna be just a purebred mini American Shepherd. It's just semantics. I'm very much involved in, yeah, a lot of people call them mini Australian Shepherds, which isn't technically wrong. It's just that I avoid it because a lot of the backyard breeders would use the term mini Australian Shepherd and then mix breed them to Papillon, Chihuahua, Pomeranian to get the small size. And then you would get dogs that were crosses and they had like the toy dog head and the buggy eyes and then like the prick ears, and it was not pretty when the breed was first being founded, because there was a lot of people taking this popular breed and downsizing it for people who wanted to live in apartments or in urban living, but they were crossbreeding to get it, and they weren't doing any health testing or anything. So that's why a lot of Australian Shepherd people like myself, we don't like the term mini Australian Shepherd, because when it was originally used, it meant I'm a backyard breeder. Yeah. And there are some breeders out there who use the term mini Australian Shepherd that weren't a backyard breeder, but they were far and few between. I can't save you. You should pay attention in class. Alright, I'm gonna go get this thing for them. Be right back. You want Poppy to choose something. If she'll stay there. Oh, ouch. I don't like HTML. Oh, get out of my face, girls. Go. Go. We say we know you're training us, so I'm gonna pester you. Stop. She's being a little booger. What? No. You stay out of my face. Alright. I gotta cut up a bunch of treats real quick for the girls and boys. Sammy's a girl, by the way. Yeah, there was a huge debacle over the foundation of the breed. Essentially, the first ever mini Australian Shepherd was sold to a young lady at a horse show, and it did not look Australian Shepherd, and she admitted she didn't know it was Australian Shepherd or not. And so a lot of people in the Australian Shepherd Club of America denounced these dogs because they believed that they were impure, essentially. And technically, for a long time in the Australian Shepherd Club of America standard, which is the original breed club for Australian Shepherds, there was no minimum height for an Australian Shepherd. Technically, if you could breed an Australian Shepherd to be as short as like 12 inches, and it would still be able to be registered with the club, as long as it was purebred. So people were saying, well, if it is just a small Australian Shepherd, why not just call it a small Australian Shepherd instead of making its own breed? Yeah. A lot of people think Poppy is small, and she's 19 inches tall. And I think that the mini American Shepherd standard says that they have to be, the tallest they can be is somewhere around 14 to 18 inches tall. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. So technically what a lot of people in Australian Shepherds were doing is that if they had a small Australian Shepherd, they would take it and register it with another registry as a mini American Shepherd. But a lot of people in Australian Shepherds thought if your dog was a mini American Shepherd, it was a mixed shepherd, it was a mixed breed mutt, and they couldn't look past that. So then if your dog was registered as a mini American Shepherd, it would get kicked out of the Australian Shepherd Club of America because they said minis can stay the heck out, basically. Yeah, it was like a political mess. When I kind of watched it from a distance, I didn't have an opinion, but I did acknowledge I did see a lot. Alright, I'm going to crate one dog. Rat. Rat, go to your crate. Oh my god, buddy. Rat. Your crate. Rat, go to your crate. Yes. Hi, Poppy. So what this is that I took the door of a kennel that Poppy chewed through when she was a puppy, and I duct taped cardboard to it. Yeah, pink duct tape. And then I glued sandpaper on it. And what this is called is it's called a scratch board. And you teach the dog to scratch it so they trim their own nails, basically. And you use this for dogs who don't like having their nails trimmed. But I'm just teaching this because Sammy has really long nails, and I haven't had the opportunity to buy a Dremel, so I'm teaching her to scratch this instead. And I figured if I'm going to teach one dog one thing, I should teach them all something. Poppy. What's this? Yes! Good girl. She's remembering. Scratch. 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 Ow. Yes. Good girl. Scratch. Good girl. Scratch. Yes. Yes. Good girl. Go, Poppy. Go. Sammy. Here, Sam. Over here. Sammy. Yes! See, the girls caught on really fast. You're going to think that rap is crazy when you see him. Sammy, scratch. Yes! Good girl! You scratch. You scratch. Scratch. One more. Yes! Good girl. Good girl. Poppy. Bad. Yeah, and you're going to be amazed when you see Rap doing this. I'm going to put the girls up. Poppy. Sammy. Sammy. Hi, buddy. Are you excited? Oh, good boy. Okay, that was a miracle because he does this thing where he just puts his paw on top of it. Shake. Come on. Yes. It must have taken him a day to understand what I wanted. Yes. Good boy. You scratch. Scratch it. See, this is what he normally does. He just puts his paw on top of it. Scratch. You scratch? No. Scratch. Scratch. He's so proud of himself. Come on, Rack, scratch. Now he's putting his paw on my hand because he doesn't understand. Wow. Scratch. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Give me cute. Oh. Are you a good boy? Yeah. Can you scratch? Come on. Good boy. Yes. Yes. Scratch. Yes. Good boy. Rat, come here. Great. Sammy. Hi, Sam. Hi, baby. All right. Let's work on this. Yes. He is so proud. He's like, I got food. And it's actually feeding time for them, so they're all hungry. Scratch. Yes. good girl. Yeah. She likes having her neck scratched. Oh. You good. You're good. All right. Come, Poppy. Sammy. All right, Wild. Yes. Good girl. Yes. 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 Good girl. Yes. Good. Poppy. Don't you be trying to steal out my treat pouch. She is so goofy. Poppy. Around. What she's supposed to do is go around and heel. But she's not doing that. Free. Free. You're free. Bark. Thank you, good girl. Alright, I think we'll probably end it that. It was nice streaming with you guys, and I was glad I could answer some questions. And I'm sure the dogs were glad that they got some special attention. Yes. Good girl. Poppy. Sit. Can we say goodbye? Yeah. She's too wiggly.